there's a guy that I was signed to as a manager called Phil McIntyre, and Phil, he saw me through my rock and roll period. He knew more about what I was about than the band did, I think, or maybe the band did, I don't know. And when the band finished and I was pretty penniless, I said, Phil, look, I've started to do film work, which I had. I started to do commercials quite a lot, but now I'm not on the road. I can do more, but I need help to get started financially, blah, blah, blah. Phil was there for me. He was the only person after all that stuff. So he said to me one day, yeah, I talked to this, I don't know what she was a producer or what she was, or they were looking for a composer for this horror film. And although my first film was Full Circle, which is labelled a horror film, weirdly enough, amongst the top 100 soundtracks for horror films, the British Film Institute has got it in number 7. When I did that, my very first film, I did it off a script. I didn't have the film, they didn't have anything. Elton John's producer was going to produce the album, but he didn't produce it in the end, but had lots of meetings. So in a very swift lump, but I got masses of press for that. And it wasn't a typical horror film. All I had was that. I'd never done a film, but I always wanted to do a film. I was desperate to do a film. So I'd done that film, and I'd done some shorts. And then when Broadhead Rex came along, of course I just said, yeah, of course, yeah, great, you know. By that time I'd taught myself orchestration in the back of the bus with the rock and roll band. And I didn't tell anybody, but I just went and did. I think it was the second film I'd ever done with orchestra, but I didn't care. Because, you know, you either... You know, I didn't have an academic background and all that stuff, but it didn't matter. You knew where you're going, and certain things that I was looking forward to explore. And Rawhead Rex was great. Coming along at the time, it was good to do. I've always had a thing about dialogue. I've always loved working with dialogue, and most people, from what I hear and see, it was kind of, well, just lower the music. Well, not quite the same thing. So right from an early time, I wanted to work in and out of the dialogue and to work with it. But at the same time, with all of these things in my head, when I was trying to score and learn about all these things, the other side to the coin is that you've got sound effects coming, which you don't know yet. You haven't heard them. You've got something that's going on. And so how is the music going to work within it? Not just sort of, hello, here's the music, but somehow it's a balancing act of trying to foresee what they're going to put into the film later after you've done your bit. So those were the emotions I was trying to get. And then, of course, in the dub is when they managed to sort of, hopefully, they've got enough to be able to portray what the scene's supposed to be doing within music and sound effects.
The bloody pig!
I did have my own studio, so I would do pre-work and then take the tapes to London. We recorded it at CTS in Wembley, and which was my favourite place to go to. It was like there was 4 studios there. One was the very large. We were in 2, which was a medium. Then there's 3, a bit smaller, and then 4 was like for synthesizers or putting vocals on or whatever. And you have to work out with an orchestra, and we had top players in the orchestra. I mean, people like John Wilbraham, who was a legendary trumpet player, one of the top classical players in the world at the time, Graham Ashton, the other trumpet player, just amazing people. We had 3 of the violin sections were leaders of orchestras in their own right. So it's also a question of, like, this wasn't a sort of okay band, this was a top band. I can't remember how many days. We probably did 1 full day with the orchestra. That's the 3 hours probably. But a normal film cheap would be 6. So you do 6 sessions because it's a lot to do. And then the electronic stuff I put on afterwards. But we may have done 2 days, I can't remember all the details now. But all I know, it was a very good time, and the electric stuff and doing it at Wembley it's always been good there. And also George is great, so it's not like now where everybody knows what's coming. He knew the demo, but obviously, which I can't remember, but he didn't know what was coming. So it's up to me to read the film properly, understand the film, understand where he's coming from, understand what we're trying to achieve, and actually nail it in one. Because if he suddenly turns around and says, well, that's not what I want, I've got a whole orchestra, played a great chunk, I have to think, what do I do? Now, touch wood, I think it's wood, I could probably count on one hand really the numbers of times I've run into that problem, and there's always a way out, but it was this trust, that was so lovely then on the film. It's when you see the locked version, the final version, they're not going to edit anymore, then I have to make some very strong opinions about what I think should be the right forward, unless somebody says to me, no, check out blah blah blah, which they do now all the time, and it takes away some of your freedom to explore other things. But never mind, at that time it wasn't. And when I look at that, and like I said earlier, I weigh up the audience that's going to go and watch this film, and what are they going to get from it? They're going to get weight from this, because this is medieval, whatever it is, coming out of the ground beyond anything we understand. It's like saying we've got 3 dimensions, but we know there's 5, but we can't prove it. But it's not even a theory, it's a fact. It's all that sort of weirdness of like, what's this coming out of the ground? God knows how many years, 2,000 years, whatever it is, and it needs weight. Otherwise, it doesn't work. You can put sound effects on it, but if you can actually lift it really, and you put music with it, it's always a balancing act when they dub, isn't it? Because it's like, which is the stronger, the sound effect or the music? And sometimes, or the balance is wrong or something. Because sometimes I've thought, well, we know what a bang sounds like, but with music you can make something else happen, which actually makes it more scary. I mean, look at The Exorcist, and look at the music they was using in The Exorcist. I don't know if you know much about that score, but Penderecki and all these sort of people, and Crumb, extremely 20th century composers, that there's no compromise, you get what you get. But you put all that music into the film and it really, really worked. People will be scared to do that now. They'd say it's an art film, which is daft, because it's an effect. There isn't a rule book, and there shouldn't be a rule book, but at the end of the day, you are in the entertainment business, and you've got to make sure that what you've done is going to really please that particular audience that's going to come and see it. In this case, a horror film audience. So I was very, very aware, the first one I've ever done like this, that I had that, to get that right, to reach the people that were going to come out and say, that's fantastic. I don't want them to hear the music, but I want them to feel it. When I'm working on films, I like to get involved early, and very often people would send me rushes. I can't remember if I got rushes off the film. I might have done, but I would imagine I would have got the film before the locked version. Can't say for certain, but that's normally what I like to do, and it always, in the past, sets us up in good stead, because I've ironed out a lot of ideas with directors and producers before I get the locked version, which normally means I've got 3 weeks, sometimes only 2. And when you're dealing with a lot of notes, you better be sure of what you're doing. I like to get involved early if I can, because I need to know where I'm going. Where most people get up and they have other things in their head. If I'm walking the dogs in the morning, which I do every day, got music in my head. I wake up with it. My wife thinks I'm mad, but I can't help it, you know. It's just the way my brain works. So the more I've got things to think about where it's going to go next, and where I'm not getting it, or I'm not understanding something, and how can I make this brighten up, or, you know, all those questions. When you can't actually put, if you think about it, action or music into words. You can try to, but what makes you decide to this or that or that? You know, so early is better if you've got the time and you've got people on your side. He always wanted to do these films, I know that, and he gave me lots of freedom. And I don't know whether he'd been in the studio with that many musicians, and that's always a bit of a shock. He was quite young at the time, I think. But if you've not been in a room with a lot of musicians and it's going bang, 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 you know, you've got to, time is money, so you actually, he wouldn't be aware of this, but you're always watching, will we get to this number before tea break, we get to that one before lunch. It's all of this is going on. And you know, I've been in sessions where we've had a 90 piece in the back room, and that they're unaware that in the corner there's a whole load of engineers from other rooms have come in to sort out rather a major problem, and we're managing to record somehow. You can't, that's not nothing to do with the production company. That's your problem, or the studio's problem. So George was so relaxed about everything, and so enjoying it, that it was just a joy having him there. And you know, and like I say, there wasn't anything that came up that created any major problems. So it was a very lovely experience to be doing that, you know. But he's a good guy. I don't know how these things come about and why they come about, but maybe social media has opened people's eyes to all kinds of things that have gone, and they go looking into to discover. I mean, I can say with music, I am constantly exploring music that's gone centuries ago, and finding things that are knocking me out. You know, not everything, but I'm finding things that are interesting, and I want to fill my head up with, rather than this is new, therefore it's great. This is new, I might have to look at this twice. But this is old, and it's amazing, and I missed it. So it's all this, isn't it? And it's got a fan base, I guess, and even if you watch it now, it's fun. I do a lot of computer stuff, and if I can get musicians, which is quite rare because the budgets have shrunk, I will use musicians, but the way it works with the technologies is it can be a plus or a hindrance. It means that they can ask for things again and again and again and again, because you've not got musicians in a room, which is costing them lots of money. So where you get paid less and you have to work 4 times harder. So if you've got a team of 3 of you, you share the work. And I know people that will work up to 6 o'clock and then they're off to have their dinner down the wine bar, and this other person takes over. It took a while for people to realise what's going on. So if you book that composer, what you're getting, you get the team. I mean, Hollywood is well, you know, I mean, it's no secret Hans Zimmer has a massive team. It's massive. And it's not my kind of world. I didn't come into this to do that. I come in to explore a world that the journey that I'm on, I enjoy. There's still a lot of amazing people coming through, and that's bound to be the case, because it's a fantastic world to live in making film and theatre. You know, whatever it is, you have to make it your thing. And you know, why am I sitting at the tables with these people? I mean, I come from a nothing background, East London. Yes, pardon. And you know, and I've worked with people from the RSC, from, you know, all over the world. And what is it I've got? It's not networking. It's something that they obviously need that I can bring to the table and say, well, my feeling is, and that's different. You know, that's not come from an academic thing. That's just following my nose.